Welcome back to Structure Fishing. I'm Jim Shell. I have more lost tapes for you. In this one, we go back to 1997. It's over 20 years ago. And we've got basically two clips for you. One part, I'm fishing Coffin Lake, which is in central Illinois. It was a great reservoir for bass, great, fantastic bass population. And the other lake is Pinwell Flowage in central Wisconsin, which is the second largest lake in Wisconsin and has a tremendous walleye population. And instead of just showing you the fish being caught, I'm going to go over first the structures that we found these fish at and a little more information about them. So let's get into this. All right, let's take a look at Coffeen Lake first. Coffeen Lake is in south central Illinois. It's a 1,000-acre lake used for cooling for a coal-fired plant. Um, and I got the avionics map up here that they've back then when I was fishing it, 20, 25 years ago, there was no map, and Navionics really has not mapped this lake yet, even though they do have a map and they do show that, some structures. It's not very accurate at all. It really has not been mapped yet. So that map won't really do you any good other than showing you where the boat ramp is at, right over there. But let's look at Google Earth. Let me pull that up and see what this lake looks like. There it is. And, our basic interpretation of reservoirs really doesn't change here. I mean, that's how you're going to find a fish here. We're going to assume, or we know that there's going to be a main channel running down here, and that you've got the side feeder channel, and that you're going to have a structured situation when that side feeder channel intersects the main channel. And this lake has a tremendous bass population, excellent bass population. Although that was 20, 25 years ago, something in the lake changed. I don't know what it was, but I went there one year, and the water color all of a sudden was clear, and the chemistry of the lake just changed. But I have not fished this lake in oh gosh, probably 15, 18 years. So I'm not sure what the status of the lake is right now. But the structures are the same. The fish just are probably a little bit deeper if the water cleared up. But let's, first off, I've caught fish on nearly every structure where the side feeder channel, like here, where these all came out and met the main channel. But the larger schools of fish were on the main structures. And there were two main structures on this lake. Right where you had this big feeder creek channel coming in over here, meeting the main channel. But that break line was a little bit on the shallow side. So you didn't get a good movement of fish on that structure. The best structure on the lake actually ended up being this one right here. You had a feeder creek here, and you had a very, very well-defined break line on the side feeder channel. Let me see if I can sort of draw it in over here. It was a very well pronounced break line coming out of the side feeder channel, and it was pretty wide, and then it met the main channel over here. It probably came out more like this, and it actually had a delta situation right here. This was the only area on the reservoir where there was actually a delta situation, where we had a shallow humps here, and on the side feeder cut here, as well as this side here. But that was my opinion, the best structure on the lake. We caught tons and tons of a lot of nice largemouth. Probably in the video clip you're going to see, probably all those largemouth came off the structure right here. And you had to check the whole thing out. We check it out trolling and casting. We located the fish trolling, then we'd stop, put down the anchor, and we had pretty good depths here where we can get a good casting position. So this lake was a blast to fish because it allowed us to get into some good casting positions here. From what I remember, the break line for the most part was around 14, 15, 16 feet, breaking down into the channels, which was around probably 30 to 40 feet of water out here. And like I say, you had some delta humps on here. I think the shallowest one was right here at the main channel, where if I'm not mistaken, it was as shallow as about 7 or 8 feet right here. And you had some delta humps over here, but that was best structure on the lake. hands down right over there. Take a look at the video of the bass we caught off of this out of this lake here. Okay, Coffin Lake, July 13th. Trip started at March 20th. Limit of bass.
Two limits.
6 fish total. They're all about the same size. Speed was very fast for most of them. Spoon plugging them else. 6 fish. 700s. Fast speed. Anything else, Gord?
Nope.
Get the fly knife ready. What's the biggest one? Hold the biggest two up.
Where's he at? There he is. There.
Are those two the biggest?
Yeah, those are two of the biggest.
Okay, the next clip you're going to see here is Pinwell Flowage, and as many of you have seen my videos in the past, you know that this is one of my favorite lakes. It's a big flatland reservoir in Wisconsin. It's the second largest lake in the state of Wisconsin. It's in just about right smack dab in the center of the state, 23,000 acres here. And this lake is just a blast of fish. It has a fantastic population of walleyes. Been catching fish out here consistently ever since I first started fishing it, which was probably almost nearly 30 years ago. And one of my favorite structures on the lake, I call it the center break line. I'm going to zoom in on an avionics map here. Real quick thing here. We had a structure fishing spoon pluggers outing on this lake. Gosh, it was probably almost 30 years ago. And a couple of guys found this break line out here, way out in the center of the lake. It's right here. I call it the center break line. You can see it. It starts here to the north, pretty much goes straight, and then makes a turn here and cuts in. And during this outing, there were a couple of really good structure fishermen that were, if you follow this break line here, and you're fishing it deep enough, you will notice this and come out and fish this. And for probably almost 15 years, we were the only ones out here fishing this center break line. And this was before they even had waypoints, GPS, anything like that. We had to get some rough shoreline sightings, and it probably took us, a good, anywhere from 5 minutes to almost 20 minutes to try to find this break line out there. But once we did, it was just loaded with fish. But quick story, overnight, one year I go out there and start fishing, and I find people fishing, a few boats fishing at the one end and a few boats fishing at the other end, and I was a bit puzzled how all of a sudden people found out about this. I thought maybe they followed me out there and they made notes of it, but then I realized later that year, or maybe the following year, is that's when HD maps first came out, and this Pinwell Flowage was one of the first lakes that were mapped HD. Yeah, I can't remember if it was Navionics or Lake Master, but and this structure sticks out like a sore thumb on a HD map, as you can see right here. And I call this a center break line, and this break line also had a delta situation on it. You can the map is pretty accurate, and it's showing you the shape and size of the break line here. On top here, it's not that accurate here, but for the most part, let me see if I can draw in what this thing looked like here. If I drew a side view, it was around 28 to 32 feet of water. It was the deepest water in the area. Then the break line came up, and it was around 15, 16 feet. And then at times you had a delta hump that it would go up as shallow as maybe 9 or 10 feet. And it was sporadic. It wasn't the whole length of the break line. You had that delta hump. It was it came and gone. and then on the back side of it, you had 22-foot flat. So you had 22 feet of water here. It's sloppy, not good riding with the mouse here. And the main break line was right here, and that was at 15 feet. And then, of course, you had your deep water here, which was on average around 30 feet of water. And this 15-foot break line, 15, 16-foot break line was pretty consistent this whole area here. And each time I fished it, you know, the fish would show up differently. I mean, a lot of times I'd catch a lot of fish in these areas here. Sometimes it'd be down here. Sometimes it'd be almost in the center. I mean, there wasn't one specific contact point. It seemed like that this was such a long structure that they showed up throughout the structure. So the best way to fish this thing, to locate the fish and find a fish, of course, was trolling. So we would troll this thing, and once we found the fish, and if it wasn't too windy out, because this was a pretty big lake and the closest shoreline I think is almost a mile away. So if conditions allowed us to anchor, we would definitely anchor. I didn't run spoon plugs on this structure just because of the amount of snags. There were a lot of trees and timber down here that was scattered throughout the area. And because due to the snags, this break line being so snaggy, I would run crankbaits. On this particular lake, I like running the Norman DD22s. They run around 15, 16 feet. It's equivalent to about a 100 series spoon plug. The only drawback to that was speed control. You know, you've got a maximum speed on those crankbaits where you do not have a maximum speed on a spoon plug. But walleyes in general are a little bit of a slower speed control than, say, a bass or northern or muskies. And we would occasionally use spoon plugs as well, too, to check out some faster speeds. But fantastic structure out there, and we'll show you the fish that we caught off of it. Thanks for watching. Petenwell outing with Gordon, August 2nd, Saturday, 1997. We fished for 3 days so far, Thursday, Friday, today's Saturday. We got, for conditions and fish activity, I think we did really good today. We got 4 keepers so far, and it's 1 o'clock. 4 pretty nice ones there. The fish were real lethargic. And 4 like that, but I think it was pretty good. Larry's out here fishing too. Last we saw him, he got 2 small ones, no keepers. We've got most of these trolling man's crankbaits. You gonna pick up a couple there, going? Well, it's July 12th. Frank and I fishing Petenwell Lake. We got 10 fish yesterday, Saturday, and we got 10 keepers today. Actually, we got them all by 10:30. We got a lot of these fish casting. I would say we probably got about half the fish casting on this trip, which was a lot of fun. And conditions are marginal, but they were moving pretty good today. Catching them on fat gizzards on the cast and crankbaits and spoon plugs on the troll. Some pretty nice sized ones here. We actually caught about 17 keepers today, but we only kept a limit of 10. So we got some pretty nice sized ones out here. And we didn't count too good, Frank.
Oh, you got only 9?
No.
You got 11.
That's right.
Oh shit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh well, I got there's only 3 more here. It's a surprise for you, Frank, in the live bowl.
That is a surprise.
Oh wait a minute, maybe not. Did I count wrong?
Oh no, I got 2 more up here. All right. That's 10 fish plus 1 more. Oh, this has regurgitated a fish here, right?
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Oh, this is heavier than yesterday. 10 walleye is the limit. Okay. Got him?
Got him.
This is much heavier than yesterday, Frank.
Oh yeah?
Here, I get some pictures now.
The center break line trolling. We got 8 fish. We lost a keeper at the boat, which would have been 9. Smalls is 17 and a half. The biggest is 19 and a half, I think. Most of them were about 18 inches. 8 fish. 5 of them moved this morning. And then the other 3 around 4:35 o'clock. They had to work hard for the fish tonight. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 1 more, and there's a perch in there that hit the crankbait too. Cool. Can you stand up with that, Frank?
Yeah. There's only a perch there.
Yeah, I don't want to. We are out on the center break line. It's the closest shoreline.
It's about what, a mile and a quarter away from the shore.
Probably so. There's the south end of the lake, the west end.